Welcome to Films in Black and White, everybody.
We are here.
I'm so happy to be with you all. My name is Doug Wagner, still big in the Czech Republic. Hope all of you are doing well wherever you are. Welcome to season 4. We made it.
We're here.
We made it to the other side of the mountain with season 4. So just a big shout out to anybody who might be joining us on our live stream for the first time this week. We're excited again that you're here. It's going to be available to you every week now because we've shifted some things around when it comes to Patreon wise. So we'll be touching more on that toward the end of the pod, but we're excited that you all are joining us. Also, big spoiler warning for Glass Onion. We're going to talk about that this week. So if you have not seen it, we are going to do some show note timestamps that'll be in the show notes. So if you need to stop and pick us back up whenever you see the movie, go ahead and do that. Also, be sure to follow us on our socials. Obviously, you can see this live stream on Facebook and on Twitter. But we're also on TikTok at Films in Black and White, as well as Instagram at Films in Black and White. So wherever you find us, that is where we will be. But we need to do this well. We need to do it right. And so I need to make sure everybody is thoroughly involved and introed and welcomed. So I'm going to kick it on over to Benoit Roush or Benoit Roush. I don't know.
It's Benoit.
Jesus Christ.
Benoit.
Benoit Roush. Bryan Roush, how you feeling?
I'm, you know what? I'll be honest. I'm a little fatigued, but I'm getting re-energized being here. It was a busy day. This is like the first full week back, like in the office for my day job. So like everybody's like, "Oh, I'm back," and all those things we talked about in December that we do in January. Well, look at the clock; it's January. So basically, picking up all those pieces and getting it together. It's weird though because I'm going on vacation again in like 2 weeks. So it's like. Yeah. All of this matters. And then like I know it's like, well, not I mean I'm gone in like 2 weeks, so then I don't have to worry about it in February. So anyway, just feeling good, happy to be here. We didn't pod for 2 weeks, which threw off my game. So I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, I felt like, you know, like when your significant other's out of town and your bed feels weird by yourself. That's the overall feeling I had.
I missed you in bed too.
These past 2 weeks. I'm not a good cuddler, so you probably got more sleep.
Yes, yeah, I'm terrible at cuddling. It starts as cuddling and it ends as something else.
It might. Gentlemen, also need to invite Marcus.
Brian,
I'm gonna hold
Brian,
on.
Why are you acting like that? You have 4 kids. I just want to say, look, you have 3 kids.
It's true. We don't know how this was done.
Doug has 2 kids.
I need to officiate. It felt empty for Roman, who's one of our Patreon members, but it felt empty for Roman too.
Oh, we love you, Roman.
We love you, Roman.
Yeah. Well, I need to welcome Marcus Season 4, Destin, to the pod as well. I assume that's how you're supposed to read it. If I didn't read it right, please let me know.
That was solid.
It's gonna be awkward if you didn't read it right, because then that just, what was this calling me in the middle of the podcast? It's Season 4. We are here. We are black. We are white. That's all I got. I mean, that's pretty much it. It did feel weird though. It's just very strange not to pod. Especially when you've been watching hella movies and you just want to talk about podcasting, but
seriously,
that's what we got this for.
Yeah, absolutely. Gentlemen, it has been a few weeks. So for our listeners, what have you all, and watchers of this live stream, what have you all been getting into over these past few weeks? Whether that's reading, watching, whatever. What are some highlights from the break in terms of what you watched? And anybody?
I don't know. I watched The Menu last night, and that was really, really good. That was like a sleeper movie for me.
Okay.
Because I've been seeing a lot about it on like TikTok.
Yes.
People been talking about it on TikTok. That's really where I've been seeing it. And you kind of get weird because people can hype up a good movie, especially if you see a lot of good actors in it, and you be like, is this like a overcasting to make the movie look good? But that movie was actually really good. So I did watch The Menu on HBO Max, and then I'm rewatching Brooklyn Nine-Nine again for the second time, and it feels like I'm watching it again for the first time. So that's kind of been my highlight right now. I'm also watching reading a book called Emergent Leadership, and that's a pretty good read.
That's
Nice.
fantastic. I love it when a show can make you feel like that, by the way. Like that no matter how many times you watch it,
Yeah.
you're still
Yeah.
watching it for the
It's
first
such a
time.
classic show.
That's
It's so
fantastic.
it's just a very good show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Brian?
Yes. I've done a little bit of everything
Okay.
over the break. We watched Glass Onion, a Knives Out story, which we're going
We
to talk about later in the episode. We also watched Bullet Train, which I was hesitant about, but Maggie was like, "You know what? Like this seems like your kind of thing." I was like, "I know, but like the previews just didn't. I don't know." I watched it and it was good. Which surprised me, and I feel like they marketed it terribly. By the way, like whoever marketed it, I just it's actually like a mystery, and they made it just seem more of like hey, this is an action movie on a train. It's like Die Hard on a train, which they already did, but anyway, I was like, why did you market it like this?
Die
Like
Hard on a
Brad Pitt
Train.
is barely the main character, like just barely.
Yeah.
Anyway, Bullet Train on Netflix as a gem, like that's totally worth your subscription.
Brian, you are 100% correct. They did a awful job.
They
marketing
really
that.
did.
Yeah,
Like,
it wasn't
awful
great.
job. Like that
Like-
is such a better movie than what the trailer gave it credit for. Like, and I
Yeah.
knew that I would like it within, and I'm not giving anything away. They do this sequence where they count how many people got killed on like an
Yes.
initial heist.
Yes.
When they did that count, I was like, fuck, that I liked it. Like this is awesome. Like it gave me like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels vibes. Like 100%.
Yes, and it is way like if you like Knives Out, by the way, Bullet Train might be your thing. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm,
it has
yeah.
the same vibe of like, here's this giant cast of characters, and you got to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And then suddenly a big name shows up, and you're like, what? Like, what's
Yeah.
happening
odd.
here?
I was kind of surprised they had Bad Bunny in there, which was like very
Yes.
interesting when I seen his casting in the trailer. And
Yes.
because you just never know with these artists go movies, you just never know what that transition. But he did pretty well.
Yeah, he did.
No, he did
awesome.
I really liked his performance. I'm not gonna go into spoilers since this isn't the spoiler pod for it. But
That's
anyway,
fine.
go check it out if you like
Yeah.
Knives Out.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're finishing up What We Do in the Shadows season 4. I'm up to date now in Abbott Elementary, which I think is might be the best sitcom on right now. I
feel pretty
would have that discussion.
I don't think there would be a lot. I'm not going to fight you on that. Like I've seen only a handful of episodes, and just based on what I've seen, I'm not going to fight you on that at all.
I mean, it really.
What else is on? I guess that would be my question. Is there anything else? I don't know what else is on.
Call me Cat.
That's how good it is.
Yeah.
No, I mean, but I don't know. It's a show that gets it, and maybe I'm the target demographic for it, but I mean, it just gets it. And then lastly, let's see, what else am I doing here? Oh, I finished reading the first 3 Dune books. I'm not going to read any more of them. That was
Is there more?
an experience. Oh my gosh,
like
Marcus!
8
I
of
found
them,
out
aren't
there's
there?
like 6. There's
Oh.
6 big books, and then there's like chapter books.
There's
and
2. Yeah, there's 2 like
good.
offshoots. Like it's weird.
Yeah. And I talked to a friend of the podcast, Chris Schultens, and I was like, hey man,
What up, Chris?
like 3rd book, it got weird. Like, and I'm into sci-fi stuff. Like, I'm totally cool with like talking raccoons or like trees that are actually universes. And like I got to the end of this book and I was like, I don't know what I'm reading. And I was like, does it get better? Like, does it get more succinct or does it? And he's like, no, it's just you're on the way to hell now. Like you're just going to hell. And I was like, well, this is where I
buckle
go.
up then, huh?
Yeah,
I'm gonna go somewhere else. So now I'm reading Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. So anyway, that was my break in a nutshell of watching and reading.
You two sound like you had such wholesome breaks, and it's
kind
not
of break
that I
did you have?
It's not that I didn't have a wholesome break.
Tell us about your break, Doug.
Okay, first off, I had to dodge winter storms like a motherfucker. Like, and I am beyond.
Yeah.
It was like I don't even have a good analogy. It was like I was playing Frogger with winter storms. Like, where I go, I'm gonna move it up a little bit. Oh, now we gotta shift the route a little bit. Oh, now we gotta move back. Like, and I was beyond over it. I said when it was minus 60 in North Dakota, where I was for Christmas, I said out loud, I hate the choice I've made with my life. Like it was what I just hated it so much.
If
Like,
you're joining us from North Dakota, make sure to drop in the chat.
yeah, please. Yeah, let us know where you're coming from. If you're coming from North Dakota, evaluate your choices because I did. Like that's what it did. And then also I drank a lot of old fashions over the break.
I like that.
So I use this as an opportunity to just really put my feet up and coast and relax.
Nice.
I also read a lot of comic books, which I'm very
Ooh.
excited to report on. So I'm excited for a segment later, Bagged and Boarded, which is a new segment. So I'm excited to talk through some of the things that I read. So I read a lot of that. As far as watching, I was kind of bad about watching. I didn't take a whole lot of risks beyond Bullet Train and watch anything like super new.
Yep.
I really just went back to old stuff. So one of the things I went back to is we're rewatching Community. So I know that feeling Marcus talks about when he's like, hey, I feel like I can watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine and feel like it's brand new. Same thing with Community. The stupid jokes still are a home run for me on that. So that was really good. And then started to revisit Daredevil, like the Netflix show again. And that's how I discovered the setting on Disney Plus, because I didn't know that it defaulted you into TV 14 on your like content setting. So I was like, why can I not find Daredevil when I am trying to watch it on Disney Plus? It should be here. And then I looked it up and they were like, no, check your settings. And I was like, yep, I have my TVMA settings on. So
wow, Doug.
Disney After Dark.
Yep.
PSA to whomever is out there being like, why can't I find it? Check your settings, man. You might be limiting yourself to what's possible. And lastly, I watched Home Alone too many times. My children discovered the original Home Alone, and they watched that no less than 5 times over the Christmas break. And every time the same moments were still hilarious. Like when those poor robbers are on that like zip line and the cord gets cut. That is a Wagner, like, oh my God, did you see what just happened? Giggle fest. So yeah, so that's what I was getting into. But
sweet.
Yeah. So it sounds like everybody had a good break, but I am glad we are back for season 4. One thing that I wanted to talk about with season 4 is we are going to do some more solicitation of quotes for Catch That Quotable for season 4. And so we're going to try and spread the gambit and spread the floor and have more folks submit their quotes. That is one of the things we are doing. We are all about community this season on season 4, and we need your help to really do the quotes thing. So every week you're going to see a post from us on all of our social media pages to go and give us quotes, whether that's through a direct message like on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, or even just commenting on the post. So if you see that and you have one, don't despair. That's a great way to get those to us. So it is time for Catch That Quotable.
Let's do it. First one of 2023. We're here. We're ready.
Of Marcus J.
Competing for Roman's Millions.
This one, exactly. And Roman has committed to still, putting up or shutting up, that if we get them right, it goes into a sort of a cachet, if you will, that will inevitably get deposited into a charity of our choosing's account. And also, we should start making a list of charities so when we actually decide to do that. So this one, our quote this week, comes from the other movie podcast, Cult Film Companion. So if you're curious and looking for another movie podcast, they follow us on Twitter. And so we got this from them.
Shout out.
And so are you all ready for this week's quote?
Ready.
Awesome. Ready as I'll ever be.
All right. So 2 cops at a recent crime scene. Cop 1, got any theories? Cop 2, E = MC squared. Awkward pause. Cop 1, any theories of your own? And that's it.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know. There you got me.
I also
you
do
got
not
me.
know.
I mean, obviously it would have to be a funny cop movie, right? Nothing super serious like a drama, right?
One would hope.
I don't know.
I think it's a
I
scary
don't
movie.
know.
You know, like Doofy and Scary Movie.
I could see it
Yeah.
being like
maybe
what was there was a movie with the guy from New Girl.
which guy?
Let's Be Cops.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, the Jake, the guy who was the Spider-Man.
I've
Yeah.
never seen an episode of New Girl, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. This could be the other guys.
This could be literally
could.
anything. Yeah, this could be the other guys.
I mean, that feels like a good throwaway joke.
Just think
Also,
of every cop movie you've ever watched.
oh god.
Oh Jesus, that's yeah. I mean, and the thing is I don't watch a lot of them, so like it's not like I have a huge repertoire to pull from of like different movie quotes. So it's not like I have a lot of choices to begin with.
Ooh, they didn't give us a hint, did they? Huh? So
they did not. So
they're playing hardball.
We just kind of raw dogging it, huh?
Which is fine. Sometimes you gotta. Not all the time.
Also, it's a plug for our live stream. We're live streaming every Monday, and Doug put up the image of the quote, by the way. And when he took it away, all of our faces were just like,
yeah.
So anyway, it's a great reason to tune in every Monday, 8 p.m. You can see our faces when we hear the quote. That's my key. That's my guess is the other guys with Will Ferrell and Mark.
That's Wahlberg. A good guess. I don't know any other good. I'm gonna say, what's the one where they wear the high shorts? Chips.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Is it Chips?
Chips the movie.
Is that in the name of the? I think it's called Chips.
Yeah, Dax Shepard's in that.
Yeah.
I could see him saying that. I could.
I was not prepared and did not pull what movie this was. So I will pivot. We will pivot into the next segment of the podcast. And when somebody is talking, I will reveal what this is.
Wow.
Because
all right.
I am going to have to really
dive
into it.
The next part of the podcast is you.
So if one of you two would like to look up and see if you can find what particular movie this is, that would be outstanding as I dive in.
We could
to
read
the next
again,
section
Bryan,
of this.
if you'd like.
So yeah, this was not prepared today, which is bad. So usually we're more prepared for this, but we're doing some new segments this season, and one of the segments that we are going to do is something called Bagged and Boarded. And so for those of you that don't know, Bagged and Boarded is a way in which comic book collectors, which I think I have now officially transitioned into that category.
Yeah.
There was a question. Might be a little bit of an understatement.
Yep. Thanks for the support, Mike. And thank you, everybody, being with me during this trying time. And so I've transitioned to that area and realized that I read a lot of stuff. So I'd love to start breaking down for you all the different stuff that I read. And this week I wanted to go through the most recent Marvel crossover event called Judgment Day.
Oh boy.
And so for those that don't know, here's a cover. Judgment Day.
Oh wow.
Bad version. So this is Judgment Day. This is Eve of Judgment.
Happening.
And then they did some other ones as well. So in the Marvel comic book universe, at this point in time, we are catching up with the X-Men. And the X-Men are on Krakoa, which is their own island and relationship that they have with the Earth, where the Earth gives them ways in which that they can come back to life. And it's the arrangement that they have with the Earth. The Eternals are off doing their own thing. The Avengers are off doing their own thing. And that's kind of where we're at. And at this point in time, Druig is the person leading the Eternals. He is vying to be what they call Prime Eternal. And in this storyline, the Eternals, led by Druig, essentially go like, hey, X-Men, you don't die. That's too much deviation. So we don't think you should exist anymore. And he starts to call in this prime directive where the Eternals go to war with the X-Men because they are too much of the deviants built out and not enough being true to the work. And they're all trying to protect the machine. Well, as a result, a couple of Eternals faction off and go like, this is way out of bounds. And they meet up with Captain America and Tony Stark and the Avengers. And they use Mr. Sinister to resurrect their own Celestial. Stay with me now, because #comics.
Okay.
The Celestial that they resurrect, they sort of program it And who do they use to program the Celestial and how he should operate? Your boy Tony Stark puts
Oh
pieces
no.
of himself into the Celestial along with other bits and pieces. So they like basically program it with all of this information, and then Tony
Oh
puts
no.
himself in there. And then essentially what happens along the sort of end of the second issue is the Celestial says like, oh, the entire Earth should be destroyed.
Oh,
Well,
of course.
you all have 24 hours to fix it. Godspeed. And so the entire storyline is essentially like them coming together to try to figure out what to do. And I don't want to give anything away because I really do think you should go and read it. If you have the Marvel Unlimited app, issue 1 just got released to the Marvel Unlimited app, so you can check it there. Also, I'm a big proponent of going and finding your own comic book store. Believe it or not, you can get comics on eBay. Something that I learned. Don't recommend that. But yeah, so you can kind of check that stuff out for yourself. But it's really good. It's really well done. I read all of the 6 main storylines, and then I read Eve of Judgment, which was the prequel, and then Judgment Day Omega, which is like the what happens after.
Yeah.
Realize that a lot of this is all like going through the gambit of like different pieces. So that's kind of where we're at. So,
wow.
Gentlemen, questions on Eve of Judgment or just in general thoughts overall?
Was this their big like Marvel Universe crossover, or was it only X-Men and Eternals?
It was X-Men, Eternals, and the Avengers. So it was
Of
all
course.
3. So it's very much it feels very much their big crossover event in terms of comic book stuff. So but yeah, because like everybody is in this.
Right. Yeah. I was curious what the Avengers were doing, and I feel like this feels very like X-Men versus like gods, which I'm totally here for. But I also see the Avengers being like, hey guys, this kind of seems like mutant business, and we're not in the business of doing it. So I'm glad the Avengers popped in. Very happy about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So it was, like I said, absolutely worth a read. The thing to keep in mind is that this is Comic Book World, so like they have 8 different offshoots, so you can read a bunch of issues that are just about the X-Men or just what the Eternals are doing. But if you really want to just consume the main storyline, which is all that I did, like those 6 issues, Eve of Judgment 1 through 6, are well worth your time.
And they're all on the Marvel Unlimited app.
Awesome. There you go. Yep. I know that they put 1 on there, but I didn't know if the other 5 were on there. But yeah. So number one is for sure on there. But
okay.
And the other thing the last thing I'll say about it is I did appreciate that, because the Celestial basically judges and says like all of Earth is unworthy. What I thought that that it's a credit to the writers is that they did these like individual panels where it is just like human beings and how they're processing this information of like, oh, this person just was going through their day and didn't realize it. Now they found this out and they're trying to figure out like, what did I do wrong? You know what I mean? So like, it's very interesting. And so I kind of thought that was really cool, but
anything where Tony Stark feels bad about something, I'm here for it. Absolutely here for it.
Well, and Bryan, I don't want to ruin your day too much, but one way I'm going to is both the Celestial judges the Avengers individually.
Oh.
And he judges Iron Man. And I just curious, do you think he finds Iron Man to be worthy or unworthy?
I'm gonna guess that he's unworthy.
He is absolutely deemed worthy and should not be destroyed. Bryan, do you think Captain America is determined to be worthy or unworthy?
You're kidding. You are kidding. Do they really deem him unworthy?
They absolutely deem him unworthy.
Oh, wow.
And essentially the Celestial is like, yeah, dude, like you've been chasing these ideals, but you've never even come close to having any of them ever be successful. So
that's brutal.
That's brutal. But
that's brutal.
Very much so. Very
well, now I feel like I need to read it out of spite now.
You should read it. You should absolutely read it. Yeah. And if it's out of spite, that is completely fine. Completely fine. But that's bagged and boarded. I'm excited that I can share with you some more comic book stuff. I'll be back in a couple more weeks with some more things that I've been reading.
Nice.
But yeah, it's been a ride, y'all. I've gone down a rabbit hole and I need to keep myself on a regulator with this. And so that's kind of where I'm at. So yeah. Marcus is shaking his head because he heard about it when we were at a bar together this weekend. He heard about the trials and
did he?
tribulations that I went down.
Could have been cocaine. Now it is cocaine.
That's a great way to put it. It could have been crack, but
Jeez.
it turns out
Basically,
it's
it is
all
crack.
it was.
Yeah.
So
Yikes.
but gentlemen, we have a whole ass movie to get into.
It's a whole thing. It's a whole
Yeah.
onion.
Yeah, it is a whole onion. And I
So
did
ma-
want
so
to
many
take a minute, though,
layers.
to do another reminder that this is our spoiler warning. We're going to have timestamps in the episode description. But if you haven't yet and you want to take a break and come back to us later, please do so, because we're going to talk Glass Onion. And although it's been out for a while, you may not have seen it and you may want to. So that's where we're at. But Marcus, season foe, could you please give us your barbershop summary for Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery?
All right, so you got this country bumpkin, right? And he's the world's greatest detective who just so happens to look like 007. And so
Accurate.
you got this great detective. Everybody gets this mystery box, right? You get these glimpses of these people in their lives, and they all do different types of shit. Like one is like a Twitch streamer, and one is a scientist, and one is running for governor. I think they was running for governor.
She's running for governor.
Some type of politician running for governor, and some governor runner, and then one washed up actress model type deal. And then you get this. You get this glimpse of all of them in their element. Next thing you know, they get this box, and this box is supposed to be this wickedly smart like box that you got to use finger waves or sound waves or some shit like that to like break into it, and then it opens up from there, and they got a bunch of games inside. And then after they do the games inside, it opens up and it says it's an invite from Miles saying, "Come to my private island. We gonna party like we used to, disruptors." And he was like, "All right, bet we gonna do that thing." So we come back. They go to this private island, and this sickly rich billionaire playboy lifestyle, which is played by the Incredible Hulk, Edward Norton. And so they get to the island, and this guy's just filthy rich, and he has this island this house that he lives in that he calls the Glass Onion, which is also named after a bar that used to exist back then. So he basically invites all his besties, and then like somehow Benoit, the great detective, gets an invite too as well. And then he also invites the person that he sued and fucked over, who then stole the company from that was called Alpha from his ex-partner. All right, so bet they all on this island. They all have ties to Miles in different types of ways. And then eventually it comes out, bam, he's rich as hell. And so he has different ties and has them doing different things because they are what they kept saying tied to the golden titty. And Miles is the golden titty. And because like he's got so much money, he's funding the politician. He's gave a job to the scientist. The other Twitch streamer, he helped him blow his stuff up on YouTube. And then you got the other person who he fucked over. And then you got the other lady model who he's been helping. He wants her to take the blame for some sweatshop shit or something like that. Yep. So they go through the whole movie basically, and he's got this big weekend set up. He want to make this like a murder mystery and how I get killed and blah 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 blah. And we're gonna figure it out all weekend. Come to find out, Benoit, he figures that shit out in 20 minutes. All right, so it's not really like a really big thing. So they spend the rest of the movie trying to figure out, man, you kind of fucked this over. Next thing you know, Big Batista dies. Oh man, Duke dies. Oh man, who killed Duke? Who killed Duke? We don't know who killed Duke. So they go through this whole thing trying to figure out who killed Duke, who maybe also wanted to kill Miles. We don't really know what's going on. Right. And then Benoit has to figure this shit out, who then there's this big plot twist that the partner that they thought was the partner that they were surprised that came is actually her twin sister. Janelle Monáe plays the twin sister and the sister, and they killed her before. And then the twin sister is on the island and try to figure out who killed her. And then there's like a whole bunch of other stuff that in this eye.
That's, to be honest, that is, and without giving anything like any spoilers, like big spoilers away of the mystery, that's
like the finale. Yeah,
that's fantastic. I'm not. That's awesome. You did it again. Quick update. The quote is from Lethal Weapon 1.
No, it's
Yep.
Oh man.
How did you find it? Because I was over here Googling and I couldn't find it.
Same. I could not find it.
It was not a quick find, but I did find it. It is from Lethal Weapon. So just a quick update. So don't want to rehash any of the past failure, but that's what it was.
Y'all got us.
We here now.
Yeah, I guess so. But to touch base on the cast for
Oh my
Glass
gosh.
Onion here,
Beautiful.
and it's hard. I mean, you're gonna feel like I'm making some of this stuff up with how many people are in this,
Yes.
but I swear I'm not. So here's what we got. So Daniel Craig reprises his role as Benoit Blanc. Edward Norton plays Miles Braun. Kate Husband is Birdie J. Dave Bautista is Duke Cody. Janelle Monáe is Andy Brand. Catherine Hahn plays Claire DeBella. Leslie Odom Juder plays Lionel Toussaint. Jessica Henwick plays Peg. Madeline Klein plays Whiskey. Hugh Grant is in this as Philip.
Sure is.
Ethan Hawke is in this and he's credited as Efficient Man. And to be honest with you, otherwise there's some other cameos, like Serena Williams makes a cameo, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar makes a cameo, Natasha Lyonne makes a cameo, but for the most part, that's really going to be your cast for this particular movie. Now, Glass Onion did come out in theaters, so it does have a box office, not a huge one because it was only in there for a little bit. And so it made $15 million for the brief time it was in the box office before it officially transitioned over to Netflix. But gentlemen, thoughts on this particular movie and what did you think?
I liked it.
Okay. Okay.
I'm a sucker for mysteries, and I don't always figure them out. So this was enjoyable to me. I liked it.
Okay.
It was good. I thought it was good. I probably should not have spoiled my palate by watching the menu right afterwards. Because I felt like the menu was better than the Glass Onion for me.
Okay.
Just as opposed to like, if I'm thinking like the mystery aspect of like, what the fuck is going on? The menu kind of gave me more of that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but it's a good movie.
Yeah.
And I kind of want, but I kind of wanted more in the ending. If I can say that. I don't want to skip I don't want to skip right to the end, but the ending didn't feel sufficient enough for me.
No, I shared that sentiment. So we can definitely come back to that.
Fascinating.
I definitely felt a little sort of like, oh.
Yeah. I don't, because like, I want to keep in mind, I didn't watch Knives Out. Also, Knives Out is not on Netflix anymore.
It is not. I rewatched the original one 2 days ago, and I was like, I have to get this on Amazon. Really?
Is it on Amazon?
What is this?
Oh damn! Yeah, I tried to rewatch it last night. That's why I watched the menu instead, because I was trying to watch Knives Out. So I don't know if that's kind of how Knives Out played out, if like the same type of ending.
I mean, I think it's similar.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say it's the same. Like, no. For me, Rian Johnson is very much trying to like create his own type of mystery series and definitely riffing off of like Agatha Christie. So like definitely trying to reinvent it every single way. So like the first Knives Out is a mystery. And there is a reveal. That is what I will say.
Yes, there is.
But it's definitely not like Glass Onion.
It's not revealed like Glass Onion. Yeah, no. That just threw me off. But what I will say is, I think that you're casting like the people that you picked to surround this movie and to execute this, I think is well done. Like, I want to give props to like Janelle Monáe, Bautista, and
100%.
Edward Norton. Like, you never know which role Edward Norton's going to play in a movie.
Yeah,
but that's always my favorite part, is to kind of figure out what is his role in this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think without focusing too much on the ending, because I do want to come back to it, because I do want to unpack the reason, some pieces of it. Is I really thought the way in which it was shot, because this was shot like in the middle of the pandemic. And I thought that they did like a really great job of like managing a small cast that it didn't need a lot going on. And so I felt like they did a good job of managing the fact that all of these things were done relatively in this secluded spot on this island. And that the cast didn't collapse under all of its own collective weight.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of folks to manage, and each person I feel like gets a chance to deliver such an outstanding performance, and it didn't like just implode. Because if you talk about like Janelle Monáe's performance was outstanding. I mean, she
Exquisite.
played two different people
Yeah.
in the
Yes.
same movie.
Yes.
That never really felt like it outshined Daniel Craig's character. Like, I felt like they played off of each other really, really well, and they both gave each other space to really like dive into their roles. So I thought it was awesome that it just did such a good job of managing all of that talent. And again, in the environment that it was in, without collapsing underneath itself. So just it did an outstanding job in my mind.
Totes.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to be that guy.
Be that guy.
I just feel like this was good, but it wasn't as good as everybody hyped it up to be. And
Okay.
I think that's my issue with a lot of things that I don't watch immediately, like in the heat of things.
Sure.
Like this was also getting very popular on TikTok because everybody was talking about that plot twist, and I didn't see any spoilers beforehand. But every time I was scrolling, like quickly scroll past it, everybody was like, the plot twist was amazing. I didn't see that coming. And then I watched it and I was kind of like, well, this is the shit that y'all was hyping up. One of my favorite parts was the random dude on the island that kept popping up. I thought that shit was hilarious.
Gosh, that was amazing.
I thought that was great. I'm glad I didn't get any context into who he was.
And it wasn't anything, and it was nothing consequential because I kept waiting for that to pop up. Like, oh, anyway, I hired this assassin. Yeah. He's just hanging out, pretending to be my buddy. Nope, just legit a guy who's going through stuff, just trying to like have a nice weekend. I enjoyed that red herring. But no, I agree with you, Marcus, because to me, this movie, it's basically two stories in one, and the main story is only an hour long. So you get to the end of the first hour, and then it's like, anyway, we need to talk about Andy's character and how there's actually twin sisters. And like, I was into it at that point because I feel like the way they have this story is like, you get to that point where who you think is Andy, played by Janelle Monáe, is shot, and you're like, oh my gosh, she's shot. And then it's like, it cuts away, right? And you're like all hyped up and you need to know what's happening. And then it's like, she has a twin sister. And I thought the transition of that was really well done because it's so tropey, right? It's such a cliche to be like, and there's a second one, right? Like, I feel like you can get into some really cliche territory, but like, I was so high on it at that point that I was like, all right, I don't care, whatever. I'm into it. Like, I want to know how she gets involved. Like, I thought Rian Johnson as like a storyteller transitioned that really well because I think that was the part of the movie where you would probably lose people. And like, I think some people were lost on that transition because there was no clue to it in the first hour of the film that would have led you to that conclusion, or like you couldn't have super sleuthed it to realize like, oh, that's her twin sister. How did I knew it all the time. Like there was no way you could have seen that coming.
No, absolutely.
No. Even
go ahead.
I guess I had the way that they introduce concepts in this thing, the blue car. I thought that was going to be a much bigger reveal than what it was. How Benoit got on the island. Like whose pass did he use to get on the island, and how do you make it that far to be able to get on this private island? Like these were things that my mind was like thinking about during the entire movie that probably distracted me away from some things I probably could have enjoyed a little bit more.
Yeah. I think the other thing is that I think it was hard to, I think it's also hard for your audience to change the way in which characters are experience them and change that halfway through. Because I would say, like, for the most part, like leading up to that reveal of the Janelle Monáe switch, and it's actually the twin sister. Like, I think for much of this, you were going through like, oh, Dave Bautista's guy is a little like, he's out there, he's a little men's rightsy, but I don't like outwardly hate him. Even Kate Hudson, who is like up here and just kind of annoying, I don't hate any of these people. But as the layers, see that metaphor? As the layers get unpeeled, see what I did there? As they get pulled back, you find that these people are more and more and more deplorable over time.
Yes.
And it's hard for an audience, I think, when they're bought into one version of a character to then, like, given just a simple change, now it's the interpretation is completely different. So I think that that's an interesting piece of it as well. I don't think it's impossible, but I could see how some audience members would struggle with that.
Well, I realized about halfway through this movie that I wasn't looking at Florence Pugh, and that kind of pissed me off too. I thought Whiskey was Florence Pugh.
You thought Whiskey
And-
was
and
Florence Pugh?
There
I
was something
totally
about
get
her,
it.
and I was like, I know I like Florence Pugh, and I think I like this person, but something ain't really taking me there. Like when I usually see Florence Pugh,
Oh my
and then I was
God.
like, Florence Pugh, Florence Ew. But no,
Madeline
like she was still
Klein
pretty.
is
Yeah,
the
she was still-
actress
she
who
was-
plays
she's-
Whiskey.
She's amazing. She did great too, because what I liked about
Yes.
her character was you think she's ditzy, you think she's stupid, and then when they have this walk with Andy
Yeah.
in the forest, she's
Yes.
saying these things and saying these words of like, to me, that's what I caught was like, oh, she's not an idiot. Like she may be like a go-getter or whatever the case may be, but when they first introduce her, you think, I don't know, I guess I assume she was supposed to be like this ditzy blonde that's with this men's rights
Right.
guy. I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
I liked how they played her character too, because in the first half of the movie, you're like, okay, like we've seen this character before, which
Mhm.
this is why I like Ryan Johnson's mystery writing of just like, I knew I was watching a Knives Out film where nothing was going to be as it seems. Immediately wrote off her character.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Like the blonde lady with the men's rights guy, I immediately wrote off, which was a terrible mistake because in the back half of this movie, she's like, yeah, I'm not like his biggest fan. Like I'll use his platform and then I'll
Mhm.
eventually get into politics and
Mhm.
like talking about it like it was her day job. And
Mhm.
that was just
Yeah.
really refreshing, which then made the reveal of her relationship to Edward Norton's character made it even like I just got a pit in my stomach when I was like
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
Dave Bautista's character was essentially using her
Yep.
against Miles Braun to like get on his cable network, and it was like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, this is so gross. Like
Alpha News.
I just like
Oh, God.
like again a pit in my stomach and making me actually empathize with Whiskey, who was built up to be this side character and then becomes incredibly pivotal again,
Mhm.
like halfway through the movie. And I really liked how Ryan Johnson constructed that narrative. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah. She's been in a bunch of other stuff too. So she was in 2 episodes of Stranger Things. She played Tina. She was also in the HBO series Vice Principals. She was in that for 3 episodes. But other than a movie called This Is the Night, she
Oh,
hasn't been in
I
a
remember that
ton
movie.
of
No,
stuff.
she's really big in Outer Banks,
And
which
that's
is like
that was the other thing I was gonna say.
oh, okay.
I have
I
no
wanted to make
frame
sure we
of
didn't miss
reference.
it for anybody listening.
Got
I
it.
have no frame
Okay,
of
got it.
reference for what Outer Banks is. So I was like, oh, and she's also apparently been in 30 episodes of the show Outer Banks, whatever the fuck
The-
that might be.
The
So
people I talk to about that show like will not stop talking about it. So like it has a very like committed fan
It's
base.
it's got a chokehold on a couple people.
Okay.
'Cause people be
One
talking
could
about Outer
say.
Banks all
One
the
could
time.
say.
Yeah.
what is summarize that show for me quickly, Brian?
Swimming.
I mean,
Okay.
basically,
Perfect.
what people like
Shot from
about
the
it
hip.
is like it's this drama thriller set on kind of like a Lost vibe, essentially, and they're trying to
Oh,
survive.
okay.
That's what I believe it is. I have never watched the show, so now I'm like not confident. But
I assumed
from
that
the
people talked to you about it so much that you eventually gave in and were like, fine, I'll watch it.
No, I mean basically, I'm getting a message. No, Outer Banks is a group of teenagers who find a treasure map and they unearth a long buried secret. So there you go.
Well,
It's on Netflix.
well, people tell me if it's good because I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah, no, I'm not glad.
I feel quite
Yeah.
confident that I'm not gonna watch it.
No, it's fine. That's fine.
Other pieces of the movie that you all enjoyed or that stood out to you?
Oh God, I really did enjoy this movie for the ride that it was.
Yeah.
I did have to ask myself, would I rewatch this, or
Oh,
like,
sure.
will I remember this movie after this week is over? Is this something that like I would go back and revisit? And I don't know. I really like this thriller. I like the idea of Clue coming to life, and I
For
like
sure.
it when you have this like really good cast, like execute. And I like them making fun of Clue, like, oh, we get it, you think this is a Clue movie, so let me
Right.
go ahead and hit ourselves. I don't know if there was anything extremely memorable from this movie, but what I can say is it didn't feel like it was 2 hours watching it. I think I was surprised when I got to the end
Oh, sure.
and saw that the movie was 2 hours. It did not feel like a 2 hour movie.
No.
The only thing that kind of felt like a 2-hour movie was the ending. And that just seemed exaggerated a bit for me. And I don't want
Oh
to
man,
keep
I
going
found
to
that
it.
cathartic.
It was good. It was good. I liked the idea of it. And I think that it was perfect for like, it was poetic, right? It was like
Right.
exactly what it was supposed to be. But I was just at a certain point, I was like, all right, like let's let's get to it. He burned the napkin. Like, how are we going to arrest this motherfucker? I guess that's what I wanted. Was
Right.
him going to jail.
Yeah. Marcus, have you seen the movie Clue?
No.
Okay, because they have a full-blown, this is inspired by the board game by Parker Brothers.
Oh,
Clue
they have a
movie
real
that
Clue movie?
Yeah, a
Oh,
legit
boy.
Clue movie that came out, Brian, what was that, late 70s, early 80s?
Yeah, it was late. It was, I think, early 80s. I want to say.
Is it good?
Yes.
I think it's hilarious.
It is one of Maggie and I's favorite movies. I've seen it at least a dozen times.
Yeah, easy. A dozen
I'm gonna have
times.
to watch it. I haven't seen
Humor
that or the
holds
Super
up
Mario
too.
Brother.
Yeah, it's not outdated. So yeah, it's I just thought when you said like, oh, it's like a movie making fun of Clue, I was like, oh, they have one of those. So I wanted to make sure to make sure we brought it up.
I haven't watched that.
Yeah, I think, what did you all think of Edward Norton's character? I almost said Christopher Nolan's character. That is not the person we're talking about. What do you think of Ed Norton's character?
I feel like Ed Norton played this guy beautifully. Even had vibes of the character from Italian Job, if I'm gonna make that like deep cut. Like,
yeah, that's good.
Almost like
That's
taking
good.
some of the pages of the Italian Job villain, because
Was that
Miles
him?
Braun. Yeah, that's him. He's the villain in Italian Job.
Yeah, God, that's such a good fucking movie.
It is. And
man.
in
You
this
are about to be
movie,
really
one of the
disappointed.
cruxes is that Ed Norton doesn't actually come up with any of his own ideas. Miles doesn't come up with any of his own ideas. He's just the one that capitalizes on them, which I enjoy as a plot point. And it shows that he has no creativity, which is, again, I love how Benoit's just like, oh, I'm going to solve your silly mystery in like 10 minutes. And then he was like, I didn't even write it. I hired somebody to write this murder mystery.
Yeah.
Which I really enjoyed how like Ed Norton's character was just so deeply hollow and like barren of any even conviction except himself, right? Like, just there was nothing there. And they try to play it off at the beginning of the film with him playing, this Beatles song on a guitar. And it's like, oh, this guy's deep. And it's like, no, he's just shallow. A brat. Like, he's a brat, hollow brat that just wants power.
I do want to say, that was one of the parts of the movie that I really enjoyed, was that reveal of like, oh, you're not brilliant, you're just an idiot. Like, you stole, when he was like, you stole my idea of shooting when all the lights went out. You stole it from me. So like, you're just an overall thief and an idiot. And like, it was just that simple. That's one of the things that I enjoyed about. There was no, he's a devious genius plot twist. It was just like, no, if you really paid attention, he was using words wrong and really fucking his shit up from the beginning and really trying to fake the funk. I like that. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
I agree.
Did you all think, because I had seen some like rumblings and grumblings that Edward Norton's character was an allegory for a certain CEO that might run a company with a little blue bird on it.
I mean, I'll say his name. He's not Voldemort. Elon Musk.
Oh God, he's here.
That's hilarious.
This is streaming to Twitter now, so we'll see what happens.
Come get us, Elon.
But yeah, I had heard there was some folks, and I was just kind of curious if like,
I could see that.
That was a lot of that's been a very big critique of his as well. So I was like, how timely that all of this, like, Twitter's basically on fire, and we are simultaneously watching what happens on the other side of it too. So
I could definitely see that those two could be related characters. But to go back to your original question, Edward Norton he played the role. I thought he was gonna die for real.
Oh, I expected that too.
Yeah, I was just waiting for him to actually die, and then the movie revolve around them trying to figure out who murdered him.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that's what I thought.
I swear I expected it to be a little bit of a like, hey, this is a murder mystery gone wrong. This is look what somebody actually did kill him, and we do have to figure out who did it. But it's turned out to be so much more simpler than that. So,
well, and I think one of the things too, and that's why I'm so curious about your thoughts on it, Marcus, because like I feel like this movie was playing off of the first one in a lot of respects, because the first one is very, I'm going to say, like, I don't know the right word for this. It just felt a little bit more grounded in some of the stuff that they were doing. Like, it takes place at one mansion. Well, I guess it's the same thing, but it takes place in like a Northwoods mansion. It's a family that everybody has known each other, and there's these familial things. It's a lot more of a traditional mystery, in my opinion.
Very much so.
It's probably one you've read before about people trying to get money from a will, right?
Right.
And it kind of felt like Glass Onion was like, okay, we've done that. This is going to be like the disruption almost, right? Like they keep talking about disruptors. This is kind of what this movie felt like, of just like, it's a murder mystery, or is it? Or is it? You know, like that's kind of what I felt like Glass Onion was.
Catch 22.
Yeah,
a little bit. And I think that's the reason it worked for me. But like, if you're coming into this fresh, not having seen the first one, I totally get now what you're saying, Marcus, of like, this kind of felt like that the ending, like what happened here? Like it did kind of feel a little understated.
Well, I was asking everybody if I needed to. Well, not just y'all. I did ask, did I need to watch the first one?
Yeah.
In order to watch this one. And I like knowing that the stories were separate, but Benoit is the same character. Yeah. I don't, so his ending would have to come to kind of like the same ending. I still don't know. I guess I'll have to go to Amazon and watch Knives Out to see, to get a result, I guess.
Yeah. I will say though, I think I'm used to, so I grew up like listening to like Sherlock Holmes stories, like on tape. Like that's how old I am. That like on long car trips, or like we just had them around the house. Yeah, exactly. So I would like when we'd get a book on CD or a book on tape when I was growing up, we would oftentimes like get those. And I think I was dissatisfied a little bit with the ending. Like, I don't think it's bad. I was just, for me, I needed closure, because every Sherlock Holmes story ends with, actually, it was quite elementary, my dear Watson. This is how they did it. Mm-hmm. And while that was there was no like, and take him away to jail. Like, it was just, it felt very much like a, oh, so she's just gonna like walk around and break shit like that. It just, it's like you're going to be seen as what you truly are, which is a fraud. So I think for me, I'm used to more the criminal gets punished side of things. Yeah. And so when it didn't happen, I was like, okay, it's cool, but he should be punished. And then we never really see the fruition of that punishment. So,
I mean,
same.
But at the same time, though, wasn't I mean, I guess if I had to be that guy, it wasn't everybody. Wasn't everybody turning on Miles at the end of the movie? Like
that wasn't enough
to a certain extent. Like basically, he only had this influence over them, and once they realized, like, no, like we can stop this. That was kind of that moment for me. No, there was like no authority of like the police officer being like, you're going to jail, like it, like that. He wouldn't care about that. Like he'd be like, oh, I'm gonna get out in like an hour anyway, I have really good lawyers. Like him losing his friends, like these people he feels like he can control, that's devastating to him. That's how I read it, at least.
I mean, I think that's a good point.
It's a great point.
I think it's a great point. To me, that wasn't enough. It didn't come soon enough, though. Here's what also got me. If we're talking about the end of the thing, right?
Let's do it.
Let's go back. She had the napkin, the original napkin that they was looking for. She had that shit in the envelope, right? He had the envelope. Okay, so they revealed, she pulled back the envelope. It was right there the whole time. She takes it out and she's like, I found it, motherfucker. I found it. Gotcha, bitch. Gotcha. And so like to me, one of the things I couldn't stop thinking about was get the napkin out of his face. Because I was like, if I'm anybody, I'm snatching the napkin while she's waving it around. And then when he lit it on fire, I was like, well, God damn it. Like, I kind of knew that this was happening. Then the next thing that not pissed me off, because that's a really over exaggeration. But the next thing that kind of like irked me a little bit was Benoit saying, you just need a little courage. And then the thing, because I operate in systems and I operate in blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
As a detective, I was like, is he supposed to do that, encourage that? You see what I'm saying? Like, because I don't know if he does he operate in the gray, or does he operate more in the I'm in the law. I'm a detective that strives for justice. Because to me, that didn't seem that I was like, I don't know about that one.
Well,
that's fair.
Here's the thing. So I definitely encourage folks to go watch Knives Out. I'm not going to spoil it because like I think it is a good mystery. But one thing I will say is that it feels like at least these two stories, Rian Johnson is he's putting Benoit Blanc as like, I'm the guy that's going to figure it out. You, the co-lead, you need to figure out what to do with this information. It's kind of what to me is what the shtick is. That's what it felt like. Yeah. And the co-leads, by the way, I just want to point out the co-leads in both of these Knives Out stories are women of color.
Yes,
which I think is cool, and I feel like we don't always see that in media, and so it's something. So I feel like kind of what it's getting at, Marcus, is Benoit Blanc being like, I literally can't do anything. Like I can tell people, but like it's up to the courts to do anything with it, and like that's the moment I feel like when Janelle Monáe's character is like, forget this. Like nothing's gonna happen to this guy unless I do it, which is why that moment worked for me. But again, I was on board the whole way. I did not get bumped off by the twin sister reveal, which I know some people did.
I was fine with I was fine with the twin. Okay. The next part the twin sister reveal was fine for me because it wasn't like I didn't even feel like
that was
that's
surprising.
Cliche or anything. Yeah, I was kind of like, okay, I get that. I get why she would do that. That made sense to me.
Right.
The other part that got me was the hydrogen.
The chemical compound, whatever it is.
The fuel that he's developed.
Clear.
The equivalent of
clear with the K.
Clear with a K.
And to me, I was like, that was such a small reference at the beginning that was quickly, not small. It was quickly kind of passed over for me. They mentioned it, they said it, then they got a little argument with the governor and the scientists and was like, if he does this, we're going to ruin this. He's going to blow up everything in the fucking house. And then the end was, this is the thing that's going to ruin you. That was just kind of like I don't know, it kind of felt like a cleanup, like an easy cleanup.
Sure.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Because I mean,
I know, Marcus, you were probably looking for every single detail that would pop up at the end of the movie. I mean, that was probably the most easy. I mean, like that was probably the biggest one. They like literally show it in your face, and you're like, anyway, this is probably going to come back.
And you can go so far as to say, and I've powered my home with it. And you would have forgotten that if I didn't show you that I have the crystal right here. Like,
exactly. But one of the reoccurring things that I did like that they kept doing, now call me crazy, was the Mona Lisa reference, like the safety thing. Ooh. Now, every time something went off.
That was great.
That consistency throughout, it got me in a pattern of, it kind of was like a subliminal hypnosis.
Yes.
And to me, I was like, okay, that thing keeps going off. A phone keeps going off. All I can hear is the sound of the case shutting. I really liked that for some reason. I don't know why.
And the payoff I think it's because it escalates the tension, right? You keep hearing that like
that's a good point.
Go up and down and up and down. And it's sort of like that, like, oh fuck, like when is someone gonna break it? And then it's like, oh, if the thing's closed, they can't. Like it's that you're worried about. It's almost like, and I can only say like this example as like a parent. It's like when you're dealing and parents of more than one kid. It's like when one kid is having a crisis, but another kid is bouncing a ball in the other room. It's like, can you not? Like this one's bleeding. Can you knock it off? And so it's those moments of like, I just need to focus on what this is. Shut the hell up with that. Like. It's just like one of those things.
That seems very personal.
I know exactly what you're talking about, Doug.
Yes.
Because I had a child come to me and was like, I'm hurt. My life is in danger. And like, meanwhile, their brother we got them a Tony box for Christmas. And it's like an audiobook essentially with these like different action figures. Anyway, they're just listening to PJ Masks over here. It's like, Owlette, do this. And like, meanwhile, my other kid is like, I'm gonna die. And I'm like, I need this to turn off so I can deal with this. Anyway, I totally know what you're talking about.
That's what that Mona Lisa thing was. It was the PJ Masks audiobook of this entire movie.
It was almost like a Pavlovian response of like, there is danger. Like, pay attention to the danger. And you're like, I can't. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
And you
Onion.
know it's gonna be something because they said it out loud. Like, yeah, you know how
Yes.
sensitive this thing is. If a phone rings, it'll go off.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
literally having a scene where
yeah.
the phone is ringing in it and the thing keeps closing when Duke's phone like goes off.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, like for me, when they're all sitting around drinking after Benoit exposes the entire mystery, and that keeps happening. I turned to Meg and I was like, someone's gonna die here. Like, I can't. Like,
Yeah.
it is crescendoing, and I can't figure out where it's gonna go. Which is which is why I was totally on board with Ed Norton slipping Dave Bautista that pineapple.
Yeah.
Totally missed the pineapple reference as they got on the boat.
Missed that.
Totally missed. He was
I
allergic.
I had to rewind because I was like, did they say this for real? Even the glass handoff. Because I was like, I know I would have noticed the
It was
first
slick.
time.
Yeah.
It was, but that was very smooth.
I have
It was
had
very smooth. I agree.
a couple of people tell me that they caught it. And there's a part of me that's
Really?
like, you did? Like one of my friends, shout out to Rob from the gym. Rob was like,
Rob
no,
from the gym.
No, I saw it. And I was like, really? I was like, good for you, because I completely fucking missed it. Like, there is no way that I saw
No, I missed it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like a split second.
It was just a
I
moment.
totally missed it.
Who do you think wins in a detective off, Batman or Benoit?
Batman.
I mean, I don't know.
No gadgets.
Benoit sees
Just pure straight detective work. No gadgets.
like Batman has a lot of gadgets which he uses to get all this stuff. I feel like Benoit doesn't need all that, but I don't know. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it.
His like, oh, I analyzed this compound from the computer that I keep in my heel, and that matches up. I
think that's fair. Give me like Bruce Wayne, really smart Bruce Wayne though. Like, y'all know there's that version of Bruce that is like he practiced with the damn League of Shadows and shit, like that version.
I would suppose though that like it's sort of like training. Like Batman, his stakes are I have to figure out what the Joker poisoned the reservoir with. And meanwhile, Benoit is which one of these people killed this man in a room on a secluded island? Like the stakes are a little bit different.
That is
true. I wonder if, it's sort of like, will that team be able to perform at a lower level?
Okay.
Right? So
here's where to more refine your question. Bruce Wayne versus Benoit Blanc on this Greek island, and whatever. You don't need to explain it. Batman just shows up. I'm probably gonna go with Benoit Blanc in those smaller situations. I agree with you, Doug. I feel like Batman, he's gonna be looking at everything. He's gonna be looking at all that, like the physical evidence. But like Benoit's gonna be like, I don't know, this person, they're off. Something's off here. I don't know. That's kind of the vibe I have. I might get get a lot of feedback here, but Benoit Blanc, I think, would outsmart Batman on a secluded island. I'm just
Batman's gonna be too busy trying to like when the shadows, when they're like that fucking like lighthouse is going, he's gonna be too busy like whispering to himself like I am the night and like going and hiding in a shadow just for a minute. So like he'll be too busy watching people from the shadows to really just get to the crux of it.
I feel like Batman's gonna focus on more things that Edward Norton's character was doing, like Miles.
That's a great point.
Behind the scenes with all his money and like expose him like on some Lex Luthor type shit.
Sure.
Instead of like worrying about who fucking killed who. That would be like on the last. Like Benoit would be like, this person killed Miles, and then Batman would be like, and another thing, this motherfucker bought 30 pounds of kryptonite. Like,
one more thing.
Yeah. This guy owns more than one sweatshop. Yeah, but who killed this man? Oh, I don't know. But did you hear like all of the stuff he buys? Yeah. That's a good point.
I do want to call out, and I don't know if this is a thing or not, but Kate Hudson's character is called Birdie. Mm-hmm. And when they get to the island, Ed Norton says, yeah, it's a great mystery. There's red herrings all around, and a red herring is a bird. His mystery centers around Birdie as a red herring for the entire movie, the larger movie.
And she knew that.
Well, I loved that, because then you get halfway through the movie and you're like, she's got a knife. Like what is that? And she does literally nothing. She does nothing through the whole movie to even make you suspect a little bit that maybe she was doing it, but she was always in the back, like being like, oh, it could be Kate Hudson's character. No, she was a literal bird, a literal red herring in this story.
Bryan, even more so, like when the actual act of him killing Dave Bautista's character is taking place, she is literally spinning, getting everybody to look at her in the middle of that scene. She is literally
everybody look at Birdie. Look at Birdie.
Literally a red herring in that moment of like, look at how fancy and how complicated when the real simple answer is over here.
Right.
Yeah, it's that moment is such a good highlight of like what you're getting at.
Can somebody tell me why Peg was there? Because I just felt like that
assistant.
She doesn't go anywhere without her assistant, I guess.
Yep.
That would just felt like an additional character I just did not need. Because it feels like her scenes got cut because she randomly pops up at the end when everything's going on, and it just felt like, why are you here? Aside from that one scene where you're saying, please don't make her do this. Please don't make her do this.
So one thing I found interesting. So Vanity Fair, I think is who did it. They did like a scene breakdown with Rian Johnson. Yeah. And I didn't notice this the first time around, but like the way he blocks her, like where he puts her in the physical scene, she's in a lot of scenes actually, but she's always in the background, which is her character. Essentially, is just always in the background of Birdie's life. But like I watched that video and he's like pointing out like, oh yeah, she's like being a literal coat hanger, like holding up all the dresses just in the background. And I was like, oh my gosh, I missed that.
I didn't notice that at all.
And I was like, I kind of want to rewatch this movie to see if there's more moments like that. Cause he talked about how like Jessica Henwick was a really good team player. And like, he always blocked her in the background. Like she's always in the background. She's never in the forefront.
That's interesting.
And I was like, oh, like I need to rewatch it. Cause I barely remember her scene. Like same as you, Marcus. I couldn't really tell you what she does in that movie, except for that point where she's like, my destiny is tied with yours and you don't do this. Like, that's it.
And isn't she in the one scene where she is really advocating for herself? They're talking like she's talking to Edward Norton outside the Big Glass Onion, and isn't like in terms of like physical space, isn't he up on the stairs and she's sort of like down below?
Oh, yeah.
Almost like this communication of like, she's still, even when she's advocating for herself, her voice is still small and insignificant when compared to the big disruptors, right? Like she can't even speak up for herself and be at the same level as everybody else.
Yeah, because he didn't take the time to get to know her name or anything. No. So I guess
and even the content of that scene is like, who are you? Like that. Yeah. That might be.
I thought she was. So who did you think was? I may need to rewatch this movie just because there may be little things like that was placed throughout on purpose. Yeah. But who did you originally think the killer was? Did you have any original thoughts?
Oh,
there was a strong argument for me for a while that thought it was Leslie Odom Jr.'s character.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
And I say that because like I think people who are silent but intelligent in movies oftentimes have more going on, and I could very much see him being the one of like we got to get this out of here. Like this is going to be a problem. It'll all come back on me. They're going to say I should know better because I was a scientist. Like I could have seen a scene like that in some alternative ending where he was the one who did it. But I thought for a while he was going to be the one that did it. But again, I thought for the longest time before the big death happened, I thought it was Edward Norton that was going to die. And so I didn't really see that coming. So those were the two pieces that I didn't quite predict.
And a credit to Leslie Odom Jr. Like all of his parts are like, they're very like it's all body language. Yeah. Like he doesn't have a lot of speaking lines, but every scene he's in, you know what he's feeling. And I feel like I want to give a call out to that because that's really hard to do with the limited availability that you're given to like perform. But like everything that like the when they're in the pool, he is like analyzing everybody. Like he is being the scientist of like, what is that person doing? What is that person doing? And the only person he kind of trusts is Catherine Hahn. And the only reason he's trusting her is because they're in the same boat.
She was great too. She was great.
Yes.
I love her so much. I don't know why I'm so attracted to that woman. But she, even when she looks like she's been like roughed up going on a governor tour and like her hair was all over the place and just this simple beige dress, I was still very much attracted to Catherine. I don't know what it is. That is not even usually my type. And I was just very much attracted to her. She went to yelling in this movie, and I was like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing about Catherine Hahn in Glass Onion, A Knives Out story, is that your type is high level politicians in beige who just they're a little frazzled, not full frazzled, just a little frazzled. That's your type. If I set up like
moms with visors and pools.
I would say mom's visors with pools. The other description is too much to our current governor, and I don't really that ain't going too hot. So I probably wouldn't lean that way.
Dear Christy,
dear Snow Queen Governor Rowe.
Yeah. That ain't Snow Queen.
you might want to bury that one.
Oh yeah, no.
You might
Catherine,
everybody has that
Catherine Hahn
is just fine. Visor.
I think she's incredible.
Yeah, she is. She absolutely is.
And I feel like they played the expectations too, because I feel like a lot of Catherine Hahn's roles are like very like out there, exclamation point, like really just hitting all these kind of like peak marks, right? Like she I feel like a lot of her roles don't have her in that subtle like part. And this movie like kind of flipped a lot of that stuff on its head and was just kind of like, Catherine Hahn is here and you're expecting her to do something weird. Nope. She is a tired, anxious politician who just wants to like get to the next thing. And I felt like she played it super well.
That's actually true. And this idea of making all of them being such big actors and big names, but playing their roles, being willing to play the role that they're willing to play and not be, I don't know. I didn't feel like anybody was bigger than the other. It felt like everybody was on an equal playing field. It kind of felt like I did with Eternals, but in a better way, where I was dropped in the middle of a party. And it was kind of like, okay, like I gotta figure out who's what and what's where with the little information that I have.
Right.
I was okay with, I didn't need full backstories on who's had families and all this other shit like that. Like I was kind of okay.
Yeah. I will say on that same like line, like Dave Bautista was kind of good. Like I think he's going to be like a sneaky good actor moving forward. I know that everybody's like, oh man, he's leaving Drax. There's a part of me it's like kind of I'm glad it's time that he's going to be able to go do other stuff, because that trailer for this like M. Night Shyamalan movie called Knock on the Cabin, that was fucking awesome, and he's a big role of that. And I've even seen some like interviews with M. Night that he's like, no, Dave Bautista is like he's phenomenal.
He's
like
great.
He is really good.
Okay, Rock versus John Cena versus Bautista. Who's the best wrestler? Best wrestler turned actor.
That's a bonus episode. If I
that's a bonus. Marcus, I'm glad you brought that up. That is a bonus episode. And you know what I think? I think each one of us should take one.
Oh God!
I think we should. I think it is we do it in a trial format, and it goes. We are going to have to come with defenses, and
we need a fourth party because it's impossible for.
That's fantastic. Yeah. We're doing that.
Oh my gosh.
That's actually hard.
Yes, we should do it. And I'm like, oh, John Cena, I hope you're in more movies soon. Cause like, man, between Bautista and Dwayne Johnson, he's a clear not.
But he had Peacemaker though. He had Peacemaker. And that
Peacemaker was a solid prestige TV drama, which is something I never thought I would say. Go back all the way to one of our news episodes where I was like, do we really need this? Here I am calling it a prestige TV drama.
It was a great TV show.
Who am I?
We're gonna have to play with that because I'm very excited.
Sign up for the Patreon. Sign up for a high school debate episode of who's the best wrestler.
Sign up for the second heat and get access to the bonus episodes because that one's coming because it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be crazy. The last thing I wanted to touch on quickly is the presence of Beatles metaphors, like the band the Beatles in this. So one thing that I've kind of been playing with is that there's two like relatively big ways that the Beatles kind of like get into this movie. The first is Edward Norton's playing Blackbird on the song, like on the beach. Right. And he says, like, I think he even says, like, yeah, and this is the guitar John Lennon wrote it on. Like, it's it's a really big deal. But apparently, like, even the title is a little bit of like a nod to the Beatles, because there's a song that came out in 1968 where John Lennon puts through I think it's even called the song is called Glass Onion. I gotta look that up. But he even says like everybody is looking through looks at things through a glass onion, which is supposed to be this idea of like don't examine our lyrics too closely. Like there's not more there than you think there is. There's even pieces where it's like, here's another clue for you all. The walrus was Paul, or fixing a hole in the ocean, just trying to make a dovetail joint. Like it's one of those moments of like, you shouldn't look at this any more closely. The other thing is that a glass onion is British slang for a monocle, which is a single magnifying glass often associated with stereotypical investigators. So there are like subtle nods with this idea of like a glass onion isn't anything more than you should be. Don't try to examine it. And what's the quote from Benoit at the end? It's just dumb. And even Kate Hudson goes, "It's brilliant." No, he goes, "No, it's just stupid. Like this is just stupid.
Dumb.
This is just dumb."
And I feel like that.
Yeah.
Oh, God, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and then you add in the whole thing of like it's British slang for a monocle that's associated with an investigator. That's what Benoit Blanc was. Like there are so many like subtle like nods to this. So
okay, so I gotta watch this movie again. It took a whole
I guess
review,
so, right?
But I guess I watched this movie again. I was wondering if I would, and I will. I don't know. I really like that revelation.
Yeah.
It's not brilliant. It's just dumb. People can use big ass words and use big ass, you know what I mean? They can have all these resources and money, and sometimes people get the degrees behind them. They got all these letters behind their name, but sometimes they just dumb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sometimes it's simpler than what we think it is, even in life. It has nothing to do with people sometimes. Sometimes life is just so much more simpler than that.
Yeah, well, and I also feel like, and in some of the interviews Rian Johnson did, he was talking about like he was writing this in the spring of 2020, and he's like, where do I want to be? Like, I want to be on a Greek island, and like just kind of talking about it that way. And I feel like movies and TV too, we're like going through this wave of like just having things be not procedural, but like having things be like, I know what this is going to be, because like we've had so much uncertainty over the past 3 years that Glass Onion almost feels like this thing of like, look, you know what it is, even if you can't really realize what you're looking at, but you're looking at it directly and it's exactly what it is. And that's kind of what this movie does in a sense. And I feel like we're going to have vibes of this for the next year or two, because people had 2-3 years of uncertainty of not knowing what was going to happen. So having media that's like, here's the thing, like, just be entertained. There's no uncertainty here. I feel like Glass Onion touches on that.
For sure. That's a great point, Brian. Anything else that you all like to mention about this particular movie?
Nobody got an update from that Georgia and TCU game if anybody wants it.
Lay it on me, man.
Goddamn blowout. Georgia 52-7.
Yeah, I kind of figured it would be
bad.
One-sided.
Oh, oof, okay.
I was rooting for the underdog, but the underdog just got their ass buried.
Yeah.
Yeesh. Okay.
Yeah.
Oof. Like I like that. That's what that's sometimes you hear those scores and you're like,
it's tough. They said 40. They had 45 plays and made 45 points. Like that's that's.
I'm not a sports analyst, but that seems
bad news.
Not
everybody.
good.
That's bad news.
Not great.
ESPN. You can get my information from the podcast.
Yeah, have us call a game.
The Ant-Man, the new Ant-Man trailer was dropping, so apparently that might be the most exciting thing that happens during that game.
Well, at least we'll have to watch that. Would you all recommend this movie? Like if a friend said like, hey, you're in a bar, you're hanging out, or you're having dinner, you're meeting somebody, and goes like, oh, have you seen Glass Onion yet? And you say like, well, have you seen it? Like, no, should I watch it? What would you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do I need a reason? I mean,
no, you don't need to. No, you don't need to.
I don't know. I just feel like if you ask me, can I watch it on an app that I presume that everybody has or a lot of people have? It's easily accessible. Don't have to go to a movie theater. And I'm looking for something that can like entertain me and pass the time. I will warn them that you do have to pay a little bit more attention, because I was kind of like trying to be on my phone and that wasn't working. And I had to rewind a couple times to like get some points I missed. So I would say yes, as long as you kind of give it the attention it needs.
Got it. Okay.
Oh
Yeah.
man, this was our Christmas Eve entertainment after we got a bunch of gifts wrapped, and I was like, I'm tired, and tomorrow's gonna be a whole day of Christmas Eve. I'm gonna have a bourbon and watch a mystery. So that fit the bill.
That's a good
That's
vibe.
perfect. Yeah, we did this after we got back from traveling, and we just didn't want to think about anything.
Yep.
And so we threw this on. It's like, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to go anywhere. Let's
Yep.
watch this. And that's exactly what we did. So yeah,
Yep.
this is absolutely fun. It's got enough to keep you hooked and keep you entertained and kind of keep you wondering, but not so much that some mysteries are where there's a turn and there's a big twist every 20 minutes. So I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, this isn't like Gone Girl where it's just just hairpin turn after hairpin turn, which I feel like we'll have to watch as a pod at some point.
Oh no, please. I can't. That's a hard movie for me to watch. I just can't.
Okay.
Wait, is that the one with the guy who takes the little girl?
No, that's
what is that one?
It's
Neighbors.
Ben Affleck is
that's
accused. No, hang on here. Let me get
What's
the full.
the one?
Let me get
Lovely
the full
Bones.
synopsis.
Lovely
Basically,
Lovely Bones.
I'm thinking of Lovely Bones.
Oh, this is not that. It's Rosamund Pike and Ben Affleck, and Ben Affleck is accused of like murdering his wife, but she's alive.
No,
that is not like
spoiler
giveaway. That is not a spoiler. Like that's how wild this movie goes.
Yeah, but there you have it. Gentlemen, anything else about Knives Out or Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery before
there's another movie coming out, right, with Gal Gadot, and there's some on a cruise ship. Is that part of Knives Out too? Or
I think that was a movie called, isn't that like
that's Death on the Nile?
Death on the Nile. Is that not the same thing?
Isn't that River Cruise? And that's a combination of Jungle Cruise and a bridge over the River Kwai, I think. But a movie I made up. Brian's right.
Butterscotch.
Yeah, Death on the Nile is like one of the classic like Agatha Christie stories. So like in the vein of like Murder on the Orient Express.
Okay.
It's on Hulu. You can watch it right now.
I might watch that. Okay, see, I thought that was like a part of this series, but it's not.
That, I mean, I think Ryan Johnson would take that as the ultimate compliment because that's exactly what that's exactly what these movies are. They're modern day like classic mystery thrillers.
Can we get a graphic for when anyone is pulling a butterscotch soda that we can click a button that it just flashes up on screen like and we could just pull it out on everybody.
Yeah.
What was it? Riverboat Cruise?
River Cruise.
It was River Cruise.
River Cruise.
It's not right. Like it's just not right.
I love it.
Before we get to plugs, so thank you for discussing that. It's available on Netflix. So go and check out Glass Onion. I did want to take a minute for us to update everybody on the Patreon changes that we made because we wanted to make some changes to make things a little bit more accessible. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, the live stream is now going to be entirely free. So if you enjoyed this, you're going to enjoy it more. It's going to be available on our social media pages. So check us out there. But there's also some other things as far as the Patreon tiers that have changed a little bit that we wanted to update you on. Just so that way, if you were feeling like you wanted to join, this is the year that you finally become from a listener to a supporter, how you can do that. So I'll cover the first one and then I'll turn it over to one of my esteemed colleagues and friends to cover the next one. But the first tier is for $5, you get a straight up like producing credit. Right? Like we are going to get your opinion. This movie was actually picked by our Patreon folks. We weren't sure what to watch because there's not a ton out in theaters at the moment. So we were like, hey, we want to open with a movie. Which one should we do? It came down between Glass Onion and Bullet Train, which was another movie we all three of us saw. And so we kind of pitched it to you all like, hey, check this out. What should we do? And we ended up doing it. And we're going to do more of that this season of, hey, Patty family, what should we watch? Or, hey, what segment? We're thinking about doing a different segment. What are some things you want to hear from us? Do you want us to hear a list? Should we do a breakdown, like our top 5 or something? Like, let us know what you want to see. So we're going to be doing more of that. And that first tier gets you access to really give your input and be a producer of a podcast, which is not a lot of things people can say, which is really cool. So
put that on your resume.
Absolutely. Do it. And we'll give you the power words that you'll need to build out the bullet points for your resume. So that's what we're going to do.
Yes.
Brian or Marcus, do you guys want to cover like the second tier?
Yeah, you get access to the second tier. You get I didn't know. We just always have
No,
that
just
awkward
it was
moment.
fine.
But you always get for the second tier, you get access to video backlog. And you get one bonus episode per month. So in addition to getting a producer credit, you get to help us pick the content of the show. You also then get to get access to the video backlog, everything that we've done so far, everything that you see now. You will have full access to that. And then you get one bonus episode per month. So every month we will record a bonus episode that will be exclusively available to our Patreon members. And honestly, we never know you never know what we're going to talk about. We never know how this is going to go, but we do know that our bonus episodes are going to be so much fun, and you're definitely going to want to be a part of that conversation. So that is that second heat. If you want to be a producer, get some bonus content on, you ain't get enough of films in black and white every Wednesday. You watch us on Monday and then it's going to get on Wednesday. Then that's the tier you need to be in.
100%. Absolutely. Bryan?
All right. It's the third heat. It's the final tier. This is our $20 a month package, and I can't tell you how great it's going to be because this exclusively has an Ask Us Anything feature. What does that mean exactly? For $20 a month, you can send us in a question that we will answer on this podcast. It can be Ask Us Anything. You want to ask us like, hey, who's going to win in a fight, Wolverine or Hulk? We're going to get into it.
Mhm.
Hey, what's the better movie, Star Wars or Raging Bull? We'll get into it. We'll talk about it. Whatever is on your mind. We could even it's Ask Us Anything. Your creativity and imagination is the limit. So that $20 a month, it gets you everything Doug and Marcus has talked about, plus Ask Us Anything. This can be insights into current films, predictions, or maybe why does Doug like Whoppers? We may never know, but you can ask that as part of this.
We don't want to answer that question. But
Marcus and I don't want to know, but you can ask it. You can make Marcus and I feel comfortable. Why does Doug
there's
want to
no
suck
better
the
feeling
Whoppers?
than when you suck on a Whopper and it dissolves in your mouth.
See, you can ask him why he likes that, and Marcus and I have
disgusting.
to suffer through it and we're gonna try not to be grossed out. But that's again, if you pay the $20, you get access to all the video episodes, so you can watch that in the comfort of your own home.
Who designed a Whopper? That's disgusting.
Somebody smart, I bet you.
Somebody that was just like, chocolate.
Yeah.
What if it just didn't taste right? Like, what if it just didn't taste right at the end of it? And they're like,
what if it was off just a little bit?
just a little to bother you, but not bother you.
It was
enough
a Nestle meeting, and people are like, "Hey, we need something that someone like that weird kid that we can he can put in his mouth, and he's not quite chewing on it. He's not letting it melt. He's kind of just
sucking it. He's just sucking it.
Like, could we do something like that?" And there was some guy that was like, "Boy, do I have a candy for you."
It's so weird because malt balls are ashy. How does candy get ashy?
Right? I know. I agree. It's like anti-spicy Cheetos.
Yeah.
It's like anti-flaming hot Cheetos. It's
I
like
still
that
have
person
not had a
and
flaming hot Cheeto.
Yeah, that $20.
Okay, you need to fix that immediately.
Whatever tier, join whatever tier.
That's a bonus episode. Doug breaks down foods that he has not eaten.
We're gonna make Doug eat foods that he knows he should have eaten by now, but yet he
hasn't.
I also didn't want to say this earlier, but I've never seen The Italian Job, so I also wanted. What is wrong?
What is going on?
I don't know. It's just
you run a movie podcast and you haven't seen The Italian Job.
I didn't say
even the remake, the original, any of it.
You didn't see any of it.
I have not seen either one of these.
Oh
movies.
My gosh, that is ridiculous.
That might be a bonus episode too. I don't know. We're gonna grill Doug about The Italian Job.
Season 4 is not gonna go very long because we're gonna I'm gonna start giving out revelations that I've never given out before, like that some of you are gonna be actively disappointed. Like we might lose a co-host. Like it might happen. So,
I just can't believe this is how you start season 4.
Do you know how many Marvel movies we have this year? That can't happen. No, it can't happen. Not at all. We got Ant-Man coming up next month.
Yeah, it's true. So to really just to recap real quick, the tiers. Tier 1, you get yourself a producing credit for $5. $10 a month, you get yourself access to the producing credit, video episodes, as well as some a bonus episode every month. And then that last one is everything I just mentioned and access to the access. And it Ask Us Anything. Currently, the only person paying for that third tier is my mother. So unless you want me to answer questions that my mother submitted, please join the third tier.
Why would you say
I
that?
love my mom. She's great, but nobody. We're just gonna leave it there.
Listen, $20 can seem like a lot, we know, and $10 can seem like a lot. $5 could even be a lot to some. But if you have the extra income, you can make it stretch. You want to support an independent podcast, then help support us, because we've been doing, not gonna lie to y'all, we've been doing a good job up to this point without much support. But imagine what we can do when we take that support to just beyond Doug's mom. And so my mom isn't even a regular paying member. So I guess I need to shut the fuck up and call my mom and tell her to pay $20.
It's hilarious.
So
look, all I'm saying, $5 a month. That's like a Starbucks coffee.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't go to Starbucks. Give us $5 a month. We're gonna give
You're lucky Roman's not here.
4 episodes. We're gonna give you 4 episodes. 6 to 8 hours of content. Otherwise, you're getting a cup of coffee.
Roman Myers technically gives us $40. Technically,
he gives us a lot more than that.
He gives us a lot.
Gentlemen, anything else that you all would like to plug besides this podcast and the Patreon? Anything that you all have to plug?
Hey, folks, go check out thelovenerds.com, thelovenerds.com. There's designs there if you want to make shirts. There's recipes, other lifestyle blog posts. My wife runs the website. Go check it out, lovenerds.com.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know what it is. Follow the mantra, never offended, always humble. Hit the link in my bio. Follow me on all socials, Marcus J. Destin, along with, if you follow me on socials, you'll definitely follow Films of Black and White and everything else that I do on social. So follow us on socials, follow me on socials, hit the link in the bio, buy yourself some mantra gear. I am wearing some mantra gear. This cap comes from the website, and then this sweatshirt also comes from the website too as well. And so there's a lot more things. You can get cups, mugs, pillows, bears, teddy bears. Valentine's Day is coming up. Buy your significant other a teddy bear with some Noah shit on it, and we'll have some exclusive Valentine's Day Noah gear coming out very soon. And so you might want to keep your eyes peeled, but until then, follow the mantra, never offended, always humble.
I really like that bucket hat. That bucket hat's worth that.
No, that's cool.
That's where it's at. I just want to plug our TikTok, if anything, to be honest with you. We're doing a lot of fun stuff over there, doing some breakdowns, some more comic book breakdowns. So if you liked what I talked about today during this segment, you're going to love it over there.
Well, I didn't, but I liked the content. I didn't like that Cap wasn't worthy. Sorry, I messed up.
No, you're fine. That I knew that was going to get you. So
it bothers me.
But check it over there. We'll post clips of the show, as well as just like other things. Like if you notice that Daredevil sounds like a robot in the Spider-Man show from the 90s, you'll post that type of stuff. So there's all sorts of cool stuff over there. So check out our TikTok. But gentlemen, we have a 3-step process to success. And it's important during this time that we can stay committed to every single step and every single key. So Bryan, please, if you would, give us the first key to success.
Hey folks, first key to success is read a book. Everybody's talking about resolutions and there's I feel like this year more than others, the weight loss stuff is coming like just really hard. And that stuff's garbage. Don't do that. Instead, make a goal to read a book. Just read a book. Marcus is holding The Art of War, which I don't know if that's a message. Anyway,
learn how to crush your enemies.
A book. Actually, The Art of War is a very short read. You can polish that off in 2-3 hours. So if you're trying to just get one book down, Sun Tzu, he had some very specific things. Marcus is also holding The Help.
He's pulling a lot
of
books from his shelf. So yes, read a book. Read a book.
Yes.
Yep, there you go. We also have a second step to success. Marcus, care to give us the second step?
Drink some water. When you read that book, you like to lick your fingers to turn the page. Then you get dehydrated. So you just got to drink some water. You know what I mean? Got to treat yourself to some Fiji. Treat yourself to some, you need real water. Cut the Mio for a second and cut the damn Crystal Light and just drink straight water.
Yeah.
Get a filter, something. but you just need to drink some great water. And I think that that'll benefit you a lot, especially, I know it's the wintertime, I know it's cold, but that water is still refreshing even in the wintertime.
It's absolutely refreshing.
For
So,
sure.
yeah. Well, we also have a third key to success, and that, ladies and gentlemen, wash your ass. You got to. Like, don't bring. We said this at the end of our last season. Don't bring 2022 with you into 2023.
Don't do that.
There's still time to wash out your ass and start the year fresh and start building some good habits of, every day, living your life with a clean ass. And that's important. So make sure you get up in it with a rag and some soap. Also, wash your legs. Just wash the parts. And if you're making assumptions about which parts of your body are clean or not, you're making some mistakes. So stop making assumptions. Be certain that that portion of your body is clean by washing it. So not just the ass, but the whole thing. So yeah. That does it for this week's episode of Films in Black and White. I'll be back next week with a news episode, which we're very excited for. But in the meantime and in the between time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. We'll catch y'all next week.
Me.
Is that the outro music?